Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are a budding entrepreneur, today is the video for you. It's actually inspired by a video I watched by Sarah Nurse, who is a YouTuber that I really love. You guys should definitely check out. And she was giving a bunch of business advice that she'd learned from being an entrepreneur. And I thought, I could do that. And I know that a lot of you are either running your own company now or thinking about starting one or thinking about becoming freelance. So I thought I would share with you some of the things that I have learnt along my journey. I have pretty much never had a job. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've run several different businesses, so hopefully this is going to be really useful to you. Number one is actually a tip from my mum, which is to always have your business cards with you and actually give them out. As you probably know, it's super cheap to get like 1,000 business cards printed online, and it's amazing how much you don't give them out. And I've experienced this even myself. I have them and maybe they're even in my bag, but I'm kind of precious about giving them out because I'm like, oh, these cost money. But in my experience, I've had about 4 different business cards printed like in my adult life, and they always go out of date before I've given them all out. So either I'll change my Instagram handle or I'll change my whole business, and things just change so quickly that I actually wish I had just given them out like crazy, because otherwise I'm stuck with them. So I now have a whole stack of out-of-date business cards, which are no use to anybody. It's just a waste of paper. So I'd really recommend that you get some printed, but also that you just give them out to everybody and put them in all your different handbags, in your car, in your office, so that you always have them with you. Because I keep finding I'm at the hairdresser's and she's like, oh, your channel sounds really cool, what's it called? And I wish I just had a card to give her. So try and just spread them all throughout your house, all throughout your belongings, so that you're always going to have one with you, and give them out. You never know what might come of it. Number 2 is to be organized. There's a lot of awesome tools out there, which let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video on my favorite kind of software and tools to stay organized. But always reply to emails as fast as you can. Always send an email if you've promised to, like a follow-up. Like if I say to someone, oh, I must connect you with them, or I really recommend this article, make sure you actually send those emails. Just be reliable, be on time, have a to-do list, all that kind of thing. I mean, I could talk about organization and time management forever. So yeah, let me know if you want more videos on that kind of stuff. But basically, just as an overriding principle, be organized, set autoresponders, set an out of office if you're going to be away from the office, all that kind of stuff. Just try really hard to stay on top of it, because it's a really easy way to make a bad impression. Number 3 is actually a piece of life advice that I got many years ago and I have come back to over and over again. And that is to do what is most fun. I don't know if that sentence is quite grammatically correct, but you know what I mean. I was choosing between 2 different job offers I had, and I posted on Facebook, like, here's the 2, what do you guys think I should do? And my godfather commented and just said, do whichever one is most fun. Like, do whichever one kind of gets your heart racing a little bit more. And I actually really took that to heart, and I've kind of put that into action ever since. And the truth is, both jobs would have been great. Like, the pay was similar, the opportunities were similar. If it's a really close call like that, just choose the fun one. And probably if you're enjoying something, you will apply yourself more, you'll work harder, you'll stay extra hours, you'll be more creative. Like, it will probably be the one that you perform better in as well. So I think that's really good life advice and business advice, and it's something that I turn back to whenever I have a tricky decision. And number 4 kind of relates to that one, which is you should choose which is most fun, but you should also work really hard. As entrepreneurs, we work pretty much all the hours in the day. It's really important for us to have a good routine. We work at a co-work rather than home, because we like to get out of the house and feel like we're in kind of a work environment rather than a home environment. But you should form a proper routine. You should be working really hard on your business, whether you're working for yourself or for someone else. But you should be taking your work really seriously, and especially if you're starting your own thing, it's going to be a lot of hours and you're going to have to work really hard. You might have to give up some weekends, you might have to give up some holidays, and I would recommend that you try and claw that back in as many ways as you can. Like, maybe you can take off a really long holiday in the summer, but you can't take off Christmas, or the other way around. But I think there's a balance to be had between choosing the one that's going to be really fun and excites you, so that you don't mind working really hard on it, if that makes sense. Number 5 is a personal favourite of mine, which you will have noticed from my channel, which is to have multiple income streams. I actually don't know how many income streams I have at the moment. I would guess about 6. And I actually heard a fact that most millionaires have 7 different income streams. So I guess I must be on the right track. But I would definitely recommend having as many different options as possible. It's not always ideal if you're not a natural multitasker and you don't want to get distracted by starting too many things. I think that can be a weakness as well, where you just say yes to all the opportunities and you get overwhelmed and you get very distracted from your core business. But if you can have several income streams, I personally find it massively reduces my stress level, because if you're self-employed, then you're constantly wondering what will happen if my biggest client cancels a contract, or what will happen if this business goes under. And for me, it gives me a lot more personal security that I know if Udemy shut down tomorrow, I still have other ways that I can make money to live. So I think it will really help you sleep at night, but it's also just financially smart, because who knows which one of them will take off. Number 6 is to be authentic, and often in networking things, or when someone's building a funnel or trying to grow their LinkedIn presence, I find that they can seem very like using, and you know when someone is messaging you just to like try and keep you sweet or get something out of you in future. And I personally think if you are just genuinely interested in people, nice to people, you send them little recommendations, you like their photos on Instagram, I actually think that is the best way to succeed in life and in business. I think it can be really obvious when you're being inauthentic, and maybe you think you're being subtle, but actually like everybody knows. I've been really working the past couple of years on being a better listener, and when I'm at an event or I meet somebody, just asking them all about them, and just going down any breadcrumbs that they leave. Like if they mention their daughter, be like, oh, what do they do for a job? And do they have a boyfriend? And challenge yourself to listen better to people, and also just be a bit thoughtful. Send people a message about something you saw that's relevant to them, or when you're listening to them, just try and think like, oh, they're really into brownies. Okay, next time I pass a cool brownie place, maybe I send them a photo, or I remember to send them a link on the best brownie recipes around, or just try and note a few personal things about them that you can kind of follow up on. And I think if you're just a genuinely nice person, then people will send you business and they will think of you, and it's just a really great way to grow your network. And I think it's better just in the world. Like obviously you should be a good person. So that's kind of business advice, kind of life advice, but just try and be genuine and thoughtful and nice to everybody who's in your path, because you never know where they're going to end up. Number 7 is to do your research. This comes from a bit of a personal stance, because I get messaged a lot with people saying, tell me how to become a nomad. And whilst I love hearing from you guys, I also feel like before you message someone, you should respect their time and how busy they are, and maybe watch all the videos on my channel, or read some other blogs about how to become a nomad, or get an ebook, or take a Udemy course. And there's a ton of free information out there online. So I definitely think you should ask experts whether they'll have a coffee with you and help you come up with some ideas and kind of a strategy. But before you do that, make sure you've done a lot of research, because people are busy. And if you show that you respect their time, if you say like, I've watched all the videos on your channel, I've read your ebook, and here's kind of my plan, would you be happy to sit down and help me get the plan a bit more detailed, or something like that, rather than just saying, where do I begin? I'm totally clueless. Then number 8 is a little bit contradictory to number 7, because I do think you should do a lot of research, but I also think you should just take the leap and just crack on. In business, it's called an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. And that is where you start something in as small and quick and cheap way as possible. So if I want to become a freelance social media consultant, the first thing I shouldn't do is spend $2,000 on having someone design my website, get a fancy logo made, maybe sign up for some really expensive networking sessions. Instead, maybe I can just make a Facebook page or write an article on LinkedIn and just see if businesses come to me, or maybe just go along to a free networking event in your local area and just start saying, I'm a social media consultant, do you know anyone who might be interested? And just see if you can get any clients. So MVP is all about just doing the quickest, easiest, cheapest way to test out your idea and just see, does anybody need social media consultants? And what you'll learn from that is that, oh, your biggest strength is that you have experience in the charity sector and you were thinking of branding yourself as an expert in sports, but actually that's oversaturated and people want to know about charity, so now you're going to focus on your charity background with all your branding. It will help you avoiding just going off on this totally wrong path before you've spoken to potential customers and worked out what's going to work. So I definitely think when you're starting something new, don't spend too much money on it. When I started my channel or my blog, I didn't buy anything. I already had a camera that I borrowed off my dad or stuff like that. I just made my own website. And I think a lot of people, when they're starting something, they spend a lot of money on it. Maybe they get a professional video made or they buy a camera and a microphone. And I think you should try and do things to a good quality level. But just see how it works first, because maybe you'll buy a really fancy camera and microphone, then you'll sit down to do a video and you'll realize actually you hate being on video and you'd much rather just do Instagram stories or something. So don't get too ahead of yourself. Don't spend too much money on anything until you're sure it's going to work for you. And just take the leap. Just give it a go. Sit down, film a video on your phone. Don't let money or time or fear be an obstacle. Just crack on and make something, and you never know what might come of it. Number 9 is to focus on making money. And of course you want to do a job that you enjoy and makes you happy, and ideally also makes a positive contribution to society or to your community. There's loads of other things that your business should contribute to the world. But I find a lot of people aren't very honest with themselves about what will make money, and they'll come to me and they say, I've got an idea for a Udemy course. It's all about how to style curly hair. And I'm just thinking, people aren't going to pay for that. It's too small, it's not a desperate enough need, it's not very financially focused. But they're really excited about it because it's something that they're interested in. And I think this is true of a lot of businesses. When people have an idea, it's something they're passionate about, and maybe it's something that the world wants, but the world wouldn't pay for. And I think you have to be really brutally honest with yourself and quite critical at the idea formation stage and just say, will people pay for what I'm offering, and will enough people pay? You need to ask around, of course, friends and family, but also ideally some people who will be a bit more honest with you, who won't just say like, yeah, a social network for hamsters sounds really good, I would definitely pay for that. You want to think about something which has real financial value before you go down into that business path. And finally, number 10, which is very much related to number 9, is to charge for your time as soon as possible. I see a lot of people working for free or for very cheap to kind of build up their portfolio. And I actually think, let's say you're becoming a graphic designer, maybe you need to do like one freebie for your sister or something, but after that, start charging. You don't have to charge very much if you're feeling self-conscious about your lack of experience, but you should be charging. And I think especially women come to me and they say like, oh, I'm becoming a fashion designer, but I'm not going to charge for the next 6 months while I work out how I want it to work. And I think just charge a little bit. Just say, I'd love to do that design for you, but it's going to cost you £50. And those will add up a lot. They will verify your idea as one that people will pay for. And it will also give you some confidence that this is a real life business and you can charge for it. Your time is valuable and you must charge for the work that you're doing. Of course, you can do some favors for friends and family if you want to, but even then they might be expecting to pay. If I asked my friend to do a logo for me, you know, maybe they would do it cheaper than if it was some big corporate, but I think it's okay to still get me to pay them for it because it's a talent and it takes their time. So really value your time and charge for it from day one if you can. So that is my big 10 tips on how to get started as an entrepreneur and how to ultimately succeed. I would love to know in the comments what business you run or what business you're thinking of starting. If any of these tips stood out to you and if there's any that you think I missed, maybe you can give me some advice. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. I am loving seeing all you guys in the comments and on my Instagram. I will see you in next week's video. Have an awesome week. Bye!